Hey guys, thanks for checking out the channel. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And also, remember to hit that bell for notifications for when we drop new videos.
Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night.
Officials and newsmen at first discounted those eyewitness descriptions as being beyond belief. However, the reports persisted.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Boogeyman Radio. I am David Blue Pulaski. And to my right, it's Master Chief.
I am Charles, Master Chief. It's fine. I honestly didn't think about a name, so I just kept it as the same. I don't care.
Hey, that's fair. It's fair.
It's fair.
It's a good name. It's a good, strong name.
It is a good name.
Strong,
It's one of my favorite video game characters ever.
Right?
What's up, Cassie? Happy New Year. So happy you're here. Thank you for joining us.
Yes. Definitely Happy New Year's, guys. 2024 is going to be grand. It's going to be better.
Full of growth, happiness, and wonderful, great things.
Speaking of
Kimberly,
growth,
happy you're here. Thank you.
new viewers, cheers to that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I wish I would have had a drink ready for that.
It's
Oh,
just
man.
tea, so
I've just got water.
tea and water.
Get some good old water.
Full disclosure, guys. Full disclosure, I'm still sick. Progressively worse.
Sounds like shit.
Yes. So if I end up doing, it's because I'm coughing and I don't want to cough into the mic. Or if I do this, that means I'm blowing my nose or something.
Or he's got snot running down his face. Yeah.
Or something. That's the stuff we don't like to talk about.
Well, it's fine. People gotta get comfortable with things, right?
Jace. I can't even like make fun of people anymore. Like I usually pick on people at work. I'm that guy.
Yeah.
And I can't even do it now.
You're dying now because
I'm dying.
sickness.
It's a good thing I got life insurance.
Sickness.
Yes.
Yeah, but that doesn't even help you with sickness.
No, it doesn't. Makes me feel better about it.
That is true. That's for Abby, I'm sure.
Yeah. Say
I
Abby.
don't know. Did I say Abby? I did
Again. Every time.
Dude, what it is my cousin's name, my cousin's daughter's name is Abby, and your daughter's name is Addie, and you guys are really good friends of mine. So gosh dang it, it just slips. I'm sorry.
Gosh.
I literally say, when I talk to him, I say Addie. And I'm like, it's Abby.
That's
yes, dude.
That's freaking hilarious.
And I had two good friends growing up too. They were I think it was Jesse and Jody, and I would always get them mixed up. They were brothers. I would always call them the wrong one. It's not always, but I mean, it just sucks.
I mean, that happens. It just happens. I get it.
Yes,
I know.
it does. It does happen. Okay, but
I know. I have this feeling she's gonna grow up just like I did, where
probably
like I always had people mispronounce my last name. She's gonna get that all the time.
Yep.
I'm sure she's gonna
would-
get a double dose.
How would people mispronounce your last name?
It is their ignorance. That's how. They would.
I don't know how.
So
yeah.
my last name is Glidden, like the paint.
Like really easy to pronounce.
I would get Glidden,
Mm.
or even Gideon, because there's no O in my name. And then apparently they decided to take
Gideon.
the L and make
Not
it silent.
Gideon.
Yeah.
Gideon.
Yeah.
What's up, Josh? Good to have you here.
And I've been called Gilden.
Gilden. Oh, I like that one. Gilden. Dave Gilden.
Right?
Dave Gilden's my name.
I mean,
Or
it happens. It happens.
it'd be like a, I don't know. That sounds like a either a boss, like or a spy. Dave Gilden. The name's Dave Gilden.
Has anybody seen Gilden or anywhere?
Yeah, where's Gilden, guys? What the?
I think he went to Lunchbox.
Gilden. Stupid crap like that. Anyway, okay, so aside from sickness and being down with the sickness, how you been this week?
Oh man, just dealing with this crap. Honestly,
You didn't have any plans for New Year's besides just
nope.
dealing with it? All right, cool. Me neither. I mean,
I did drink. I'm not gonna lie, I did drink.
No, yeah,
it was a bottle of Jaeger.
Yeah, of course.
I wouldn't. But that was the night before New Year's Eve. That wasn't so bad.
Oh yeah, the Eve.
The
New Year's Eve. I go to a few. I prefer actually having parties on New Year's Eve or going to parties on New Year's Eve. For one, it's safer.
Yeah.
Way safer. New Year's Eve is just too dangerous. I feel like I just don't want to get out personally.
True.
Lots of crazy people, lots of drunk people.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go out to a party, it's probably just New Year's Eve, then I'll go home and call it good. But we had a little soiree here at the house, so that was really nice.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything major, just about like 6-7 people, and played board games.
Nice.
Watched some anime.
Ooh.
And I went to sleep early because I had to work the next morning. So
I will say this: I did buy Cards Against Humanity.
Finally.
I know.
I love that game so much.
I should use this voice as like my narrator voice. In a world where nothing is real and everything is made up,
you happen to come across a barn where 2 shady-looking people are taking advantage of each other. I mean, what?
What?
What
kind of movie is this?
That's actually a scene that happens in the video game Baldur's Gate. You come across this shed, and then there's 2 orcs, I think, or a troll and an orc. I can't remember, and they're
orking?
having a great time. They're orking. Yeah, we'll call it that. They're orking. And the game's fantastic. I highly recommend it. My sister sent me a pretty good video where you play Dungeons and Dragons with Cards Against Humanity, and there she is. But yes, I would love that. Actually, I have a bunch of the expansions, so I don't know how many you guys have, but that would work too. But yeah, I love that game so much.
I need to start the expansions because we plowed for Christmas. I went over to my brother's house and my mom's house, and we plowed through the whole box.
It's super easy. It's great.
Yeah, all night. It was good stuff.
All the great. I have yet to find it, but there was supposedly one where there's a card hidden in like the top of the inside of the box. I know. And I looked through all of mine and I didn't have it. So I'm wondering if it's like a different edition or something, or if it's just not true.
Why would there be a card hidden in the top?
It's just like it's a hidden secret card. Like it's in the like paper wrapping of the lid. Yeah, and you have to cut it open to get it. But it could be fake. I mean, it might be fake. Who knows? Not quite sure.
Probably just to get
so there we go. It's fake. Boom. Done.
Who needs real anymore?
Problem solved.
It's 2024. We don't need real.
No, we don't need real. We have AI now to do everything.
And fake tits.
Oh, that's been a thing for a long time. Besides,
I mean, I'm just saying. It was one of the first things I saw this year. It's fake tits.
Huh.
Yeah. Not my own.
Not your own. Yeah. Nice.
100% real right here, baby.
Genetically engineered.
That's real.
Just full genetics. Here. Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Well, do you have any big plans in the work? What you got? I know some of our big loyal listeners know what you got going on, but what do you got going on? What's the big what are you working on right now?
Right meow. I have been not really working diligently, obviously, because I'm sick.
Sickness.
I haven't been on the computer much to elaborate on anything, honestly, but I do have a project going on this year called Haunted Collabs, where I am teaming up with paranormal teams around the country to film their investigations and help promote their team. So basically, I am hosting the show and doing all the filming, editing, all that stuff, and it goes on the Haunted Collabs YouTube channel. So if you go to youtube.com/@Haunted Collabs, you'll find the channel. You can go subscribe there. I'm actually talking with one group about potentially doing filming the first investigation this month, if this gets better.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I'm surprised you're because I think shortly after you left here, and yeah, I don't know. It just feels like you've been sick ever since you shortly, not too long ago, left Kansas. Well, I say not too long ago, but Maybe no, not that. It was shortly after Gentry, Arkansas. That's what it was.
It's
I feel
only
like it
been
was shortly after Gentry. You'd been sick for a while.
it's been the past couple weeks for sure, but
Oh, okay. Well,
maybe 3
never
weeks.
mind.
But
Yeah.
from what I understand, this acute bronchitis can stick with you for up to 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, if it gets, because that's infection, right? Basically.
No, it's just inflammation of the airways. It's acute little bronchitis.
Yeah, that's not fun. That's not fun at all. It's the waste.
So, yeah, today I called in. I was like, I don't think I'm going to come in today. And I've been working
Right.
through this, so
Yeah.
took
I
today
get it.
off. I'll probably take tomorrow off. The way I'm feeling. So,
Don't blame you, honestly. But I will say what I like about the haunted collabs is you're getting involved with teams that are you know, they're teams, they're people,
Right.
people in the community. It's not just let's concentrate on one paranormal team and make a whole show about it. Like, I like that it's getting people involved for sure.
yeah, it's going to be different teams at different times.
Yeah.
Also, you know, one of the reasons I'm going to go ahead and try to do something in January, like film something, is because I know like the Tennessee Wraith Chasers, they're trying to do something like this too. And I just found out about it recently. Because a friend of mine who's in the know as well messaged me. He's like, hey, you better hurry up quick with that because Tennessee Wraith Chasers are doing the same thing. They're trying to do something similar. I don't know if they're going to do the same thing I'm doing, but like it's going to be similar. I'm sure.
Yeah. It just seems to be like that, right? When someone comes up with the idea, it's just like, oh, look, somebody else did too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely, Kim. Also, you know, to kind of help it along as well, like everything I'm doing, I've got all my own equipment and everything like that. So I do have an Indiegogo going right now, guys. It's to help with my traveling. I mean, most of it's going to be coming out of my pocket anyway, but a little assistance never hurt anybody. And the more I can raise on the Indiegogo, the more I can go out and film, or the further out I can go and film, because, you know, I've gotten contacts from contacted by teams in the UK, Ireland, Canada, Colombia. So, which I don't think I'll go to Colombia. No offense, guys, but I've seen the movies. We don't have
Columbia, Missouri?
No. The country.
Yeah, I figured. I was kidding.
There's we don't have to enlist John Rambo to come get me.
Yeah, let's not.
So if you guys want to help out, and you don't have to buy a tier or anything, if you go to the See More Options button, you can actually put in how much you want to contribute. So I'll just drop a link in the comments for those of you that wanted to go do that. Every little bit helps. I set the bar at like 2,000. We don't have to raise 2,000. It's just something they made me do. But whatever I raise, I'll take and put it towards the traveling and everything. But also, there's a perk at a $20 donation. You'll get credit in the show in an episode.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a way to help out and get recognized. So he appreciates it for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so let's get into this. It's enough time has passed. Let's talk about our topic today.
Who is our topic?
What
are we doing? A hee. All right. Yeah. Obviously, guys, we're talking about Michael Jackson. Let me go into where's. I think this was it.
Which I don't know if anybody else did the same thing, but there was obviously a period in my life when I was discovering music and all sorts of different kinds of music, where there was just a huge phase where I just listened to like nothing but Michael Jackson. Like I would say probably for about 2 solid weeks, about 2 solid weeks. It was just all I wanted to listen to was Michael Jackson, just because like he has good stuff and it makes you feel good and want to dance and move, and like it's good. Like
I don't know if
I prefer his older stuff, but well, I did for sure. I would like you could really groove to it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. But I was definitely sad when he passed. I will say that I'm not one of those that believed that he was guilty of what people tried to go after him for.
Mm-hmm.
So, and just because YouTube's YouTube. I'm not gonna say it exactly, but I mean we'll probably say it later. But anyways, um, he's alive and being held at Area 51, just like Elvis, right? That's exactly where Elvis is. Yeah. No, wait, shoot. I thought Elvis was aliens. That's it. Elvis is with
I think
aliens.
Elvis. Yeah, Elvis was aliens, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah. Unless Area 51 got a hold of that ship and now they're both there.
Trying to find.
You never know.
Trying
And
to find the
Oswald.
article I had.
Yes, definitely Oswald.
Yeah, let's do this.
But, we're gonna just give you a little rundown. Obviously, a lot of people know who Michael Jackson is, especially if you're familiar with the music world at all. But just to give you a brief synopsis of his life.
So, obviously, the guy was born in the 1950s. American singer, songwriter, dancer, philanthropist, known as the King of Pop, is regarded as one of the most significant cultural figures of the 20th century. During his 4-decade career, his contributions to music, dance, and fashion, along with his publicized personal life, made a global figure in pop culture. Jackson influenced artists across many genres, though through stage and video performances, he popularized complicated street dance moves such as the moonwalk, which he named, as well as the robot. He was an 8th child of the Jackson family. Jackson made his public debut in 1964. It's been that long?
Yeah, dude. It's been that
With
long.
his older brothers, Jackie, Tito, Tremaine, and Marlon, as a member of the Jackson 5. Jackson began his solo career in 1971 while at Motown Records. He became a solo star with his 1979 album, Off the Wall. His music videos, including those for Beat It, Billie Jean, and Thriller from the 1982 album Thriller, are credited with breaking racial barriers and transforming the medium into an art form and promotional tool. He helped propel the success of MTV and continued to innovate with the videos for his subsequent albums, Bad, Dangerous, History, Past, Present, Future, Book One, and Invincible in 2001. Thriller became the best-selling album of all time, while Bad was the first album to produce 5 U.S. Billboard Hot 100 #1 singles.
Wow.
From the late 80s, Jackson became a figure of controversy and speculation due to his changing appearance, relationships, behavior, and lifestyle. In 1993, he was accused of sexually abusing the child of a family friend. The lawsuit was settled out of civil court. Jackson was not indicted due to lack of evidence. In 2005, he was tried and acquitted of further child sex abuse allegations and several other charges. The FBI found no evidence of criminal conduct by Jackson in either case. In 2009, while he was preparing for a series of comeback concerts, the This Is It tour, Jackson died from an overdose of propofol administered by his personal physician, Conrad Murray, who was convicted in 2011 of involuntary manslaughter for his involvement in Jackson's death. So
Yeah.
that's a quick rundown.
Absolutely. And interesting how they said they found no evidence
Of the child abuse.
Yeah, interesting. But yeah, I think it's a nasty business, man. I was actually pretty sad when he passed away, and to me it seemed odd. Like, you know who else died from a drug overdose, like an accidental drug overdose, like this? Like lots of people. Don't get me wrong, but like huge. Bruce
Marilyn
Lee.
Monroe.
Well, yeah. But I meant like a
Elvis.
doctor, well, not a doctor administered thing, but like this was a doctor administered thing. And then that'd be pretty crazy if he did have ties to Epstein. That'd be nuts. But I will say, from the flight logs that were released, I don't know, years ago or months ago, I don't
Supposed
think
to be
his name
released.
was on the list at all. No, it's supposed to be, the official court docs are supposed to be released. The flight log has already been released. Everybody knows who's already been to that island, or not. Yeah, been to the island, and then also other places. But I wouldn't say it was necessarily the old Slick Willie, you know. But I think it was somebody else in the record business or in the music industry that probably, if they did take him out, it'd be probably somebody in the music industry or
The Illuminati.
Or yeah, like the other popular theory out there is that it was the Illuminati, and we'll get into that more with another article that I've got, or with an article that I've got. Um, but I guess let's shoot. Where do you wanna go from this? Because
Let
there's
me
many different directions we can take this.
let me talk about this one idea.
Okay.
It talks about a little bit about his struggles that he
Yeah.
was dealing with. So outside of the obvious skin pigment changing, his appearance changing, and everything, which by the way, like Michael would only say he'd had 2 plastic surgeries. That was later blown out of the water by his mother, who she told him told the news that he was addicted to plastic surgery, and he'd had several.
Which was pretty obvious.
Yeah, I mean, you don't look like a white woman after overnight.
Well, okay. Aside from the color of his skin, even his facial reconstruction, like his face looked way different. And then even going into the autopsy report, I'll list off some stuff that it's things that were found in the autopsy report that were strange, but you find out a pretty good amount that I had no idea about him. So I'm ready. I will say I can't wait to read that article too.
So Jackson was extremely popular with the Walt Disney Company, who hitched its wagon to the star in 1986, opening a 3D movie at its parks called Captain EO. The movie was executive produced by George Lucas and directed by Francis Ford Coppola. The final attraction in Paris closed 12 years after that opened. But one of the Jackson's shrewdest deals at the height of his fame. Hang on a second, I'm gonna have to cough. Fun. One of his shrewdest deals at the time of his fame, at the height of his fame, in 1985 was the $47.5 million acquisition of ATV Music, which owned the copyrights to songs written by the Beatles, John Lennon, and Paul McCartney. The catalog provided Jackson a steady stream of income and the ability to afford a lavish lifestyle. He bought the sprawling Neverland Ranch in 1988 for $14 million, a fantasy-like 2,500-acre property nestled in the hills of Santa Barbara's county wine country. But the bombshell hit in 1993 when he was accused of molesting a 13-year-old boy. That kind of represents the beginning of the walk down a tragic path, financially, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, and legally, said Michael Levine, who was his publicist at the time. He settled with the boy's family, but other accounts of his alleged pedophilia began to emerge. When he ran into further financial problems, he agreed to a deal with Sony in 1995 to merge ATV with Sony's library of songs and sold Sony music publishing rights for $95 million. Then in 2001, he used his half of the ATV assets as collateral to secure $200 million in loans from Bank of America. As his financial problems continued, Jackson began to borrow large sums of money, according to a 2002 lawsuit by Union Finance and Investment Corp. that sought $12 million in unpaid fees and expenses. In 2003, Jackson was arrested on charges that he molested another 13-year-old boy. The 2005 trial, which ultimately ended in an acquittal, brought to light more details of Jackson's strained finances. One forensic accountant testified that the singer had an ongoing cash crisis and was spending $20 to $30 million more per year than he earned. In March of that, I think of the, it says last year, but I don't know when this was made. The singer faced foreclosure on Neverland Ranch. He also repeatedly failed to make mortgage payments on a house in LA that had been used for his family, used for years by his family. In addition, Jackson was forced to defend himself against a slew of lawsuits in recent years, including a $7 million claim from Sheikh Abdullah bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the second son of King Bahrain.
Say that 5 times fast.
I'm not even going to try it again. Hang on a second.
Okay. All that tongue tie's got him having to hawk up a lung.
I'm
Can't
back.
pronounce it very well.
Memorabilia auctions were frequently announced, but became the subject of legal wrangling and were often canceled. Time and again, however, Jackson found a way to wring out cash out of high value assets, borrowing tens of millions at a time or leaning on wealthy friends for advice, if not for money. Yeah.
I was just say, how much is left of the article of this
Not much.
that you're going to read?
Not much.
I was going to say, I think my Wi-Fi is fading in and out, so I really need to plug in my my landline. So keep reading. It won't take long.
Okay. Let me do this. Alrighty. So Al Khalifa was 33 years old. He took Jackson under his wing after his acquittal, moving him into the small Gulf estate and showering him with money. Basically, he became his pimp. That's what it sounds like. In his lawsuit, Al Khalifa claimed he gave Jackson millions of dollars to help shore up his finances, cut an album, write an autobiography, and subsidize his lifestyle, including more than $300,000 for a motivational guru. The lawsuit was settled last year for an not last year. Last year that this article was written. The lawsuit was settled for an undisclosed amount. Neither the album nor book was ever produced. Another wealthy benefactor came to Jackson's aid as he faced the prospect of losing Neverland Ranch in a public auction. Billionaire Thomas Barrick, chairman and CEO of LA-based real estate investment firm Colony Capital, agreed to bail out the singer and set up a joint venture with Jackson that took ownership of the vast estate. Barrick was unavailable for comment, but referred to the singer in a statement as a gentle, talented, and compassionate man. The final piece of the financial jigsaw puzzle fell into place when billionaire Philip Anschutz concert promotion company AEG Live announced it would promote 50 shows in London's O2 Arena. Tickets sold out, and the first show of the This Is It tour was set for July 8th. Jackson, who has won 13 Grammys, hadn't toured since 1997. His last studio album, Invincible, was released in 2001, but the opening date was later postponed to July 13th, and some shows moved back to March of 2010, fueling speculation that Jackson was suffering from health ailments and could curtail his comeback bid. His death, caused by cardiac arrest, according to his brother Jermaine, raised the question whether an insurer would refund money to ticket holders. AEG Live did not immediately respond to requests for comment, which this is happening at Blue Ridge Mountain Festival.
Right.
Jackson was practicing for the concert in LA at the Staples Center with Kenny Ortega, a choreographer and director of the High School Musical movies, who has worked on previous Jackson videos like Dangerous. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, I will say, Bart says that he thinks that Phil Spector had a hand in his death. And Phil Spector was a guy in the music industry. He was a producer, I believe, who was actually found guilty of killing a young lady named Lana Clarkson. I think he was found guilty back in 2009. He passed away here recently due to COVID-19 complications. So if it was him, got his just desserts, I guess. But
right. So obvious. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Michael Jackson was in quite a bit of debt. I think they said $500 million in debt.
He was
in a lot of debt.
Yes, he was in a lot of debt, but he also knew that he was riding on some really high valued music. And I'm sure if he ever needed to, if he ever wanted to retire or just be done with it, well, I mean, he was going to make bank with that reunion tour. It just makes sense. I guarantee you he would have made so much money from that. And I wonder, obviously you wonder how much goes to back to the music or the record companies and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, and at that time he had partnered with Sony Records to do all that.
Right.
Right.
And one of the theories out there, and we'll go ahead and say it. One of the theories out there is that they purposely killed him to basically boost sales of any product that he had, because I want to say within like the next 10, 15 years, like he just like his estate, he grossed a lot of money with the music that the record labels continued to release of Michael, whether it be remastered or like bits and pieces of newer songs, or not bits and pieces, but like newer songs that hadn't been finished or something. Like they made a killing off of his stuff.
Think about it. Like if you have a fading star,
yes,
the best way to milk that fading star,
yeah,
I think we talked about this with Kurt Cobain, is to have him killed.
Yeah.
Because like you said, his music will instantly get bumped.
Yep.
Like they'll see a bump in views and listens. And then on top of that, the music rights.
Yes.
Where does that land? And that gives companies an option or a ability to speak with somebody about obtaining those.
Well,
outside of that star.
Think about it. Michael's like, I guess as far as I know, Michael was the only sole owner of all the music that he had owned. And I'm not talking about just his music. I'm talking about all the music that he had owned. But as soon as he partnered with Sony, who became next in line to receive all that music?
Well, yeah, he said in that article that he actually sold some of the music to Sony already. I think $97 million is what they paid.
Yeah.
For I think half the rights to those songs. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like people just don't think about business when it comes to. It's kind of like life insurance policies. Sometimes people end up dying after shortly getting life insurance policies, and when that happens, the investigators tend to look at who's close and who would be the beneficiaries and that kind of stuff. So I'll show you guys a video here in a minute, but there's a reason why Sony was suspected, because there was a huge falling out with Michael and Sony towards the end. So
another thing
makes sense.
I think another thing that really compiles onto this. Let's look at this as if it was a suicide.
Yeah.
His financial woes are one thing.
Yes.
The scrutiny from the media of being a child molester.
Yeah.
That's another thing. And then on top of that, all the stuff that was going around about his relationships and his children. Like two of his children he had with, I can't remember her name right now off the top of my head. He had with somebody. The media was suspecting that she was just a surrogate. They don't know who the egg came from.
Okay.
Like she was just a surrogate for his children.
Interesting. Because
she didn't want a third from him. And then also he gave her $8 million in a settlement when they split. So
that's a lot of dough.
Yeah. It's a lot of hush money, right?
Yeah, it is. Don't you say?
And then I remember there was like a lot of scrutiny and jokes about him and Lisa Marie Presley when they were together.
Yeah, I do remember a lot about that.
Where she came out and said something like he was like a child in bed.
Oh, I do remember her saying that. Yeah, I remember watching a documentary or an interview of her saying that.
So I mean, he come from an abusive family anyway, but like with all the scrutiny just stacked on top.
Right.
Imagine the depression this guy's going through.
Oh my gosh, dude. I mean, he didn't get to live a normal childhood. He didn't have a normal childhood.
He didn't have a normal adult life either.
Right. Well, right. But that's why he regressed to doing more childlike things, is because mentally he didn't get, well, not mentally, but he didn't get to have a childhood. So he tried to enjoy life as much as possible. I
seriously believe he had like a breakdown like Britney Spears, but he didn't have like a benefactor or whatever they're called that can take over his assets.
A handler?
Which is probably a good thing.
Essentially.
But I think his breakdown was, like you said, a regression in life.
Surprised.
So
he's always been like that too. Like even before, like during the Thriller album days, he was pretty childlike.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I think all the stress of everything because he didn't have the childhood, and he's being thrust in the limelight. He doesn't have time for a childhood. Doesn't even have time to be an adult, so he doesn't know how to be an adult. So he's going to revert to being a child.
Unfortunately, he also had to grow up really fast because of his dad's abuse. So his dad was a very abusive person, and he would use Michael's fame basically to swoo ladies. And like I'm pretty sure there was at one point too, I remember watching a documentary about it where Michael was like, he was forced to do things, I think because of his dad, or there was something. It's a little blurry, but
there's another documentary that's supposed to be coming out soon.
That would be cool to see.
Yeah.
I'd like to obviously check that out, but I do want to get into the toxicology report before we get into
let's get into
actual.
Go for it.
Some of the people, but so I'll just basically start from the beginning. This article comes from Grunge. They did a deep dive into the report, so instead of me going through the report itself, I'm just going to read this article from Grunge. So it says he stopped breathing after his personal doctor, Conrad Murray, administered the intravenous drug propofol to the star at his rented Bel Air home in California. The death of the 50-year-old performer sent shockwaves across the globe amid a comeback that would have served as his final shows in London. Which he was fine, like he was rehearsing, everything was fine, and then all of a sudden, yes. So Jackson's use of propofol was not new, according to Debbie Rowe, Jackson's ex-wife.
That's
Did
it.
you already mention this?
Well, I mentioned her. She was the mother of two of the children.
Perfect. The singer was first introduced to the surgical anesthetic in 1997 when his then doctors sent two German anesthesiologists to administer it to him to help him sleep while on tour. CNN reported that. Regular sedatives weren't working, but according to Rowe, the propofol would help substantially. The drug became a tool that Jackson sometimes used when he couldn't sleep but needed to be able to perform. Such was the situation when Jackson called Murray at about 1 a.m. in the morning, obviously, on June 25th, complaining of dehydration and insomnia. Murray showed up and administered the drug, but things went awry, and obviously Jackson's autopsy report will explain why. According to the autopsy report, he was relatively healthy with no history of heart disease. At about 5'7" in height, Jackson only weighed 136 pounds when he died. He had many scars on his body. He had tattooed a dark spot on his scalp.
You wouldn't notice
why, but
if his hair was coming out or falling out or thinning out.
Well,
just hides
we'll
his
get
scalp.
into that. His eyebrows were also tattooed, as were his lips. Other surprising things found in the autopsy report was Jackson's hair was sparse and connected to a wig. There was also dark coloring along the hairline, and his skin showed the spotty depigmentation caused by the disease vitiligo. I think that's how you say it. So Jackson was a 50-year-old man when he died, yet throughout his career presented himself as having childlike qualities, possibly due to missing out on the normal childhood. Still, he was far from a child. His autopsy showed that he was taking the drug Flomax, which treats enlarged prostate, an issue not uncommon for a man his age. Even more troublesome was the number of prescription drugs found in Jackson's system, per Medical News Today. According to the autopsy report, there were a few different benzodiazepines. Is that right? Benzodiazepines, that's what it is. Including those usually referred to as Klonopin, Valium, and Ativan, that are commonly used to treat anxiety, panic disorders, and insomnia. He was also taking trazodone, which is meant to treat major depressive disorders, but is also often used as a sleep aid. So here's a little bit about the use of benzodiazepines, contribution to his death. The autopsy report said that there was a liquid injectable midazolam and lorazepam found in Michael Jackson's home. However, it's not clear if Jackson injected himself with these drugs or if they were administered by a doctor. Curiously, there was no labeling on the bottle to include directions, a doctor's name, or a patient's name, as if to combat all the sedatives. Jackson also had ephedrine and caffeine tablets at his house. No illegal drugs or alcohol were found in Jackson's system, but the combination of benzodiazepines and propofol proved deadly. His cause of death was listed as acute propofol intoxication. That was exacerbated by the benzodiazepine effect, per the autopsy report. The death was ruled a homicide since the propofol was administered by another person, namely Dr. Conrad Murray. Murray, who was hired by Jackson's concert promoters and producers, AEG Live, tried to resuscitate his patient after sitting with him for hours while he slept before realizing Jackson wasn't breathing. The autopsy says Jackson had bruising and broken ribs, likely because the CPR attempts, as well as the signs of various medical intervention that were likely conducted to try to save his life, alas, in vain. The story told in Jackson's autopsy report is one of a man who was struggling to sleep and dealing with anxiety, a man who was exhausted and frail behind the scenes as he poured himself into preparing for what were to be the final concerts in his stratospherically successful career. So, as we know, which I found that interesting, right? So that's
A lot of drugs.
vitiligo. Is that how you say it? Or vitiligo? Vitiligo. I'm catching up on all the comments. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, a lot of drug comments coming in too.
It is, yeah. What kind of friends do we have, Dave?
Jesus Christ.
Exactly. Sorry, my microphone went down a little bit. I guess I needed to adjust that real quick. But no, so the doctor, obviously, he was found guilty of, I think it was involuntary manslaughter. He was sentenced only 4 years, but he actually served just 2 years. So, vitiligo. Got it. You guys can send it all you want. It's still going to just be, yeah, anyways. Nurse friends. No, that's absolutely true. Thank God, right? And
Right.
some that work with plenty of musicians and roadies, and who knows what goes on behind stage. Bart wouldn't.
Womp womp. Bart knows.
Wah, wah, wah.
He knows
I
what
love stories from sound equipment people, man. Like I love
From
hearing
roadies?
stories from stage. Oh, roadies, people that put on concerts, everything. I love hearing stories from them. Like hearing it. We have one who was a concert promoter. He actually brought Motley Crue back into Kansas City years ago. I mean, years ago. Obviously, it's Motley Crue. He brought them into Kansas City, and he brought them to the country club that I work at, apparently, and they played golf. They were actually well-behaved gentlemen and didn't tear up the place and played golf, and they had a good time. So it was actually kind of nice. Like, holy crap, I'm standing in the area where where these guys could have been, or just pretty cool to me. But anyways, yeah. So obviously, the theory is, or the narrative is, the doctor killed him, right?
Right.
Well, many think that the doctor was actually a fall guy, and this was planned pretty much.
Yeah, the worst you're gonna do is spend a few years in prison. We'll take care of you while you're in there.
Literally, like a couple years. Wow, what's so bad about that?
We'll put the money on your books.
Right. And so I'm trying to, like, several people think that he was, like, they were planning to kill him, and this was probably just the opportune time, and they probably paid the guy like a bunch of money to do this. And I'll just list off a few that I know that think he was killed and it was planned. His daughter, his sister, Latoya, and I don't know if Janet has come out and said it or not, but I think his brother also, one of his brothers, thought he was killed, but he confided in Latoya before, same with his daughter, or no, same with his son, I think. And Michael claimed that if anything happens to him, they killed him. Like,
Yes.
just they wanted to get rid of him. They wanted to kill him. Well, let's ask why, let's real quick. We kind of talked about it already, but why would they want to kill Michael? For one, music rights for what the music that he owned. They were trying to go after it. They wanted the money, all that kind of stuff.
His debt that he
His
owed.
debt, absolutely. The Illuminati in the music industry would probably get rid of him, and then his sales of his music would just skyrocket through the roof. And then
Think about
Sony,
this.
the owners, yeah,
He hadn't toured since like 1997. Then he did a tour, I think, in 2001, and then he hadn't done a tour since then. So like,
he was about to come back in a big way, and I was here for it, man. I was actually really excited to hear that he was coming back and playing music. But
yeah. So I wonder if the lack of touring, obviously the lack of touring, caused some of the financial ruin, because he would have made some money if he kept touring like Metallica. They tour all the time.
Yeah.
If he toured like Metallica, my God, this guy would be a billionaire.
Oh, dude, easily. I mean,
and what would the companies get out of it? You know, they would get some share, some cut.
Yeah, some. It depends on who he would go through, because I don't know.
Well, if Sony bought half the music rights,
right? Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if it was half the music rights to his music, or if it has the music rights to
like the Beatles.
The Beatles stuff or anything else that he owned. It could have been both for all I know, and that's why they killed him. Like, it was like, oh, look, it's going to Sony now or something. Because I will say one thing that does stand out to me. If Michael knew that they were coming after him, you'd think he'd write a will, right? You'd think he would write something.
Oh.
So hold on, let me get in. So what if the night that he died, whoever it was, maybe found the will at the place and just got rid of it? But if I were a smart betting man or person, I would secure that bill away, probably in a bank with an attorney of some sort, and make sure that will is, if they're not in on it.
I have something about the bill.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, let's get into it.
In 2012, 5 of the singer's brothers and sisters, Janet, Rebby, Randy, Tito, and Jermaine, signed a letter to the executors of Jackson's estate, who is John Branca and John McLean, accusing the pair of fraud, forgery, exploitation, and abuse. The letter was published on a website called Celebuzz. Jackson's siblings claimed that he was not in LA on the day his will was dated, which was July 7th of 2002, and therefore he could not have signed it. They also claimed that Jackson said he despised Branca and McLean and did not want them to have anything to do with his life. Representatives for his estate responded that we are saddened that false and defamatory accusations grounded in stale internet conspiracy theories are now being made by certain members of the Jackson family, whom he chose to leave out of his will. So apparently, there's a little controversy as, did Michael Jackson sign his will? And according to the family, no, he did not. He was not even in LA to sign the will.
Dude, but I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense. And if the family attests, like if the family 100% knew that he wasn't in LA, that just sounds like some people trying to get some extra money.
It's exactly, Bart, why I was saying, like, if he had toured,
killed him.
If he had toured like all the like Metallica does, he would have made a lot of money, a lot, and he wouldn't have been in so much any debt.
Taylor Swift made millions with her Eras tour. Millions.
And millions.
Right. Could you imagine if it was Michael Jackson? Oh my gosh, dude. He would have broken so many records probably. Oh yeah. It's so sad. So there are definitely some people that I would, like I said, wish could have continued. And don't get me wrong. Towards the end of his life, he was definitely losing it mentally. He was not in the best place. He was under a lot of pressure, lots of pressure. It just, so it sucks. It's unfortunate. But you still got to root for somebody.
Yeah.
And if it's big corporation versus the little man, I'm going to go with the little man, even though he wasn't little, but you know what I'm saying?
Let's talk about potentially him being killed.
Yeah.
Because like you had stated, some family members came out and said that he wrote letters. One here that I see, where'd it go? LaToya Jackson repeatedly said there was a conspiracy to kill her brother and that he knew he was going to die. Reportedly told her, LaToya, I'm going to be murdered for my music publishing catalog and my estate.
Yeah.
That's my best, Michael. Sorry. That's all I could give you.
It's okay.
No, stop. That's ignorant.
Oh my God.
Oh, man. Too soon. Last year, The Sun reported that the existence of a note allegedly written by Jackson just weeks before his death that appeared to support this theory. The note read, there's an actual note by Jackson that read, "They are trying to murder me." Jackson continued that he was scared about his life and that the system wants to kill me for my catalog.
Yep.
And that's not the only thing. You found some stuff.
I'm gonna do this. Well, let's talk about his son real quick. So his son and daughter have both come out and publicly said that like Michael was saying that someone's gonna kill him. So in this article by CNN, Michael Jackson often cried after talking to AEG Live executives as he prepared for his comeback concerts. His oldest son testified.
What's up on Kick?
Says, what?
I was just saying what's up to the people on Kick.
Oh, what's up, people?
Forgot to say hi.
Nice. After he got off the phone, he would cry, and this is Prince Jackson, this is what he testified. He would say, "They're going to kill me, they're going to kill me." His father told him he was talking about the AEG Live CEO, Randy Phillips, and his ex-manager, Dr. Tome. I'm guessing Tome, I don't know how you say it. Prince, who was 16, began his testimony Wednesday morning, and his father's, this is an article from 2013, so that Wednesday and that June. He began his testimony Wednesday morning in his family's wrongful death lawsuit against Jackson's last concert promoter, AEG Live. His first 30 minutes on the stand were filled with videos and photographs of Jackson with his children, and then questioning by Jackson lawyer Brian Panish focused on the last weeks of his father's life. Prince testified that Phillips visited Jackson's rented Los Angeles mansion and spoke aggressively to Dr. Conrad Murray the night before his father's death. Interesting.
Very.
He was grabbing his elbow, Prince said. It looked aggressive to me. He was grabbing by the back of the elbow, and they were really close, and he was making hand motions. He couldn't hear what Phillips was saying to Murray, he said. Michael Jackson was not there because he was at the last rehearsal. He called his father from the security guard shack telephone to let him know Phillips was there. His father asked him to offer Phillips a food and a drink. I find it interesting that Murray and Phillips met. I mean, I guess it's not really interesting because he was provided by AEG promoters, so that makes sense.
It's a good comment.
See, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not surprised.
Live Nations, yeah.
Yes. So Prince encountered the day his father died 4 years ago. Or recounted, not encountered. Jeez, I'm losing it apparently. He saw his father hanging halfway off the bed. His eyes were rolled back. When he ran into the bedroom where Dr. Murray was doing CPR in a futile effort to revive him, he said. Paris followed him up the stairs, but he kept pulling her down the stairs. He said she was screaming the whole time, saying she wants her daddy, he said. At the hospital later, Dr. Murray told them, "Sorry, kids, your dad's dead." Wow, just breaking that ice. Prince was 12 when the pop icon died, but he said his father confided in him about whom he trusted and didn't trust and what he feared as he prepared for his comeback concerts. Michael Jackson's 3 children, Prince, Paris, and Blanket, and their grandmother, Catherine Jackson, are plaintiffs in the lawsuit, which contends AEG Live is liable for Jackson's death because the company hired, retained, and or supervised Murray, the doctor convicted of involuntary manslaughter. Murray told investigators he gave Jackson nightly infusions, blah, 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 and we already know that. AEG Live executives allegedly created a medical conflict of interest that pressured Murray to pursue the dangerous treatments so Jackson would be arrested for the rehearsal, while ignoring warning signs that his health was failing, Jackson's lawyer family lawyer argued. AEG Live lawyers contend that it was Jackson who chose and controlled the doctor, and that company executives had no way of knowing that treatments Murray was delivering. Okay, sure. AEG Live lead lawyer Marvin Putnam cross-examination of Prince lasted just 25 minutes. It centered on trying to discredit his testimony about Phillips's visit to his home and about cash payments that Prince said his father gave Murray at times. Prince stood by his story about Phillips and Murray encounter, although he conceded it could have been 2 nights before his father's death and not the last night. And that's pretty much getting into that one. But let's get into a little bit of... So, this is Latoya. Latoya said there was a conspiracy to murder her brother. This is a direct quote. People come into your life, wiggle their way in, control you, manipulate, control your funds, and your finances, and everything that you have. She told Piers Morgan on CNN this week. This was back in 2011. She said her brother knew he was going to be killed and claimed he told her shortly before his death. Latoya, I'm going to be murdered for my music publishing catalog and my estate, which we talked about. Latoya has been making similar allegations since Michael's death, but her new memoir out this week goes further and offers more detail of who she thinks wanted Michael dead and how much the singer knew about the plot. Michael told me that they were going to murder him, she told Morgan. He was afraid for his life, she added. I believe that when Michael walked in that house that night, whatever it was that created him, he knew that his end was upon him. And as soon as he passed, some of the very people who had expressed suspicions about some of the very people that he had expressed suspicions about had now controlled his estate. Boom.
On that note,
yeah.
Are you at a good spot where we can cut it early? So
I guess
we can kind of move into the other aspect of this.
Yeah, basically Latoya just came forward and said that he warned her about people trying to kill him. So that's the big one.
So he knew people were trying to kill him.
Sorry, I read the comment from my sister.
I saw it just pop up.
Oh my goodness, that's great. Hi, Aaron.
So he knew people were trying to kill him.
Yeah.
Right. And he knew who was trying to kill him, I think, or he had very good suspicion of, especially if he listed them to her. And once his death was announced, they took control.
Yep.
So what if, now we're going to play devil's advocate here. What if, since he knew it was coming,
yeah,
he was one step ahead of them?
You think he killed himself?
I don't think he killed himself. Maybe he.
Oh, yeah. I got you. Faked his
Perhaps
death.
he faked his death in order to rid himself of the debt and get these people off him.
Okay, so he just gave up all his music rights like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, well, here's the thing. His family still own some of the rights. His mother was getting, I think, 40%. And then his children were supposed to get
I don't know,
another 40%, and then 20% was supposed to go to charity or some shit. But his family was getting some money.
Yeah,
so
no, they were, absolutely. I agree.
If he were to kind of go into hiding or fake his own death and get out of the limelight and all that, there would still be money there because his family would take care of him, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yes, but I don't know. I don't see how a guy like Michael Jackson, who loved children so much, like he did, I'm not going to say he didn't. I just don't think he could abandon his kids like that.
Who says he did?
Well, I would say he did because his daughter's still trying to find the truth.
Okay, so
unless it's just a front, but
there was an Instagram photo.
Okay.
From his daughter.
Okay.
Where now this is was controversial. A lot of people seen this photo where it's her in the front seat of a car. And in the back seat, there was this figure that had some facial construction of Michael sitting in the back seat. The back seat was darkened. So this fueled speculation that maybe after some time he came forward to his kids, said, I'm alive. I had to do this to protect y'all, to protect.
When they became adults.
Yeah.
Like when they were a little more understanding.
When they could handle it.
Yeah.
Now, since that has come out, people, internet sleuths, it's been debunked. The photos been debunked. And in fact, I have the photo I'm talking about right here. Somebody just,
that looks fake.
yeah. So what happened was somebody photoshopped his head to the back seat.
Yeah.
So that had been debunked, right?
Yeah.
But then a lot of different videos started floating around there. One of which, actually two of which happened shortly after his death, right?
Okay.
So this first one I want to show you guys is when they were airlifting Michael's body from Neverland Ranch. And during the airlift, somebody had spotted something in this video from CNN. I guess they were following the helicopter. But as they were going to land on the helipad, you can kind of see the body in the chopper. Let me pull this up. Okay. So that's the chopper flying his body out. I'm going to fast forward a little bit here. So here in a second, if you watch the body, it almost appears that it sits up right there, starts to sit up. It's really hard to see. Let me back it up.
Looking real close.
Could it be that, the thing was, let me full screen that. It could be that it's just changing angles. That was the first thing I thought of. But it does seem to be some movement.
It could be shadow play too.
Could be. There's that crossbar there.
Yeah, it still looks like the sun's just. Yeah, Kelly says looks like the shadows to me. That's the same thing.
Right.
Looks like shadows to me.
Now I'm going to let this play because this is important. They take his body out. They load him up into the coroner van. Okay.
Okay.
Look at the van. Look at all the detail on the van.
The lines, the lights, the black streak in the back. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. They load it up and then they take it off. So let me remove this. And then there's this video where the van arrives at the hospital.
Play it again one more time.
All right.
Interesting.
So now, this whole conspiracy about whether or not he faked his own death becomes a little bit more real, right?
Yeah.
Or as it would seem. Now, there was a company that came forward after this video went viral. This video went viral like 3 months after Michael Jackson's death, and it was posted to the internet by an unknown source, an anonymous source. But there was a magazine company who came forward and said, we created that video to see how viral it would get.
That would make sense.
What's up, belligerent?
I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah. But I mean, could that be a cover? Could they just be covering? So let's just say he did fake his death to get out of the debt, to get, these execs from Sony and AEG off his back, people that he owed money to.
Yeah.
That just clears everything. And if he had enough money, he could do it well. But
True.
I don't think he did. I think he did die, personally. Whether or not it was self-administered or it was administered by the doctor or what have you, that doctor should have had ethics and obviously said, hey, no.
Right. You'd think.
You can't have any more. You will. The chances of you dying are far too great for me to do this to you.
Right, because he's going to risk literally everything.
And now,
literally.
And probably the most famous video that came out of this. Oh, looks like you got something queued up here.
Well, it was just a little bit more details, and it was basically like, so his, what was it? His relatives weren't the only ones who thought that he was killed. There was actually a tweet put out by Kanye West. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Kanye West. That said that they killed him. So I'm just going to play a little bit of that video now. It comes from the channel. I couldn't tell you the channel at the moment, but we're just going to play a little bit of this.
Another person who has openly suggested that the death was planned was Kanye West. Of course, we all know him for his very controversial Twitter rants. And in one of them, he was like, MJ told you about Tommy before they him. Kim saved my daughter's life in the name of Jesus. It's God's choice only. I will live for my children, Chris. I'm in Cody if you're not planning another one of your children's Playboy shoots. Kanye was definitely referring to MJ's bitter feud with former Sony CEO Tommy Mottola, who worked with him from his 1991 Dangerous album to the release of Invincible 10 years later. It didn't quite end well, and MJ himself even called him out.
The record companies really, really do conspire against their artists. They steal, they cheat, they do whatever they can, especially the black artists. Sony, Tommy Mottola. Tommy Mottola is the president of the record division. He is he's a racist, and he's very, very, very devilish.
MJ also said in 2002 when he was in London,
I own half of Sony's publishing and I'm leaving them, and they're very angry at me because of it, but I just did good business, So, the way they get revenge. And Tommy Mottola is a devil.
I personally wouldn't be surprised.
So, there's more of that video, so you can find it on YouTube. But that tells me like a pretty good gist of like why Sony would want him dead. He took literally half of Sony's music rights when he left. And then who was next in line to get all that?
Exactly.
So that's just a little piece that I wanted to play. But I do believe there's been several like what ifs, and could this be this guy?
Yeah.
What's his name? That's okay. Have you ever heard of a guy named Dave?
That sounds familiar.
Okay, so I gotta pull him up here. So his name was David Charles Rothenberg, later known as David Jordan Robinson, was an American conceptual artist whose father was found guilty of attempting to kill him by burning in 1983. So some people think that that was actually Michael Jackson. Like Michael Jackson came back as this person. Obviously, I don't know what to make of it. It's interesting. It's just this guy's speech patterns is very, very similar to Michael's. So it was just a very interesting theory for sure.
But even lately, there's been a TikToker from Japan. He's a Michael Jackson lookalike who's sparked up this whole debate again whether or not Michael Jackson's dead or alive, because he had all of his mannerisms, everything down to a T. So, but the thing people have to remember is, if Michael Jackson's still alive today, he's like 65 to 70, somewhere in that range.
Oh yeah, he'd be old.
Yeah. So
Old.
actually, he'd be older than that, wouldn't he? Like 75.
He was 50. He was born in 58. No, it wouldn't be 75. He'd be in his 60s.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, he'd be up there in age. I don't think he'd be able to move like he used to, and people are imitating the way he used to move. So
right, not the new way of moving. Yeah.
I mean, just go ahead with what you were going to say.
I was just going to say, my personal belief is I think he was killed. I do not think that he's still alive. I think he was actually killed.
But with Sony Records being high up there,
like
I mean, even on Epstein's list.
Yeah, like people stand to gain more. People, not one person, Michael.
Yeah.
People stand to gain more if Michael was dead compared to him being successful with his tour. So I think they killed him for sure. I really do.
Can you imagine if he did that tour? You were talking about how much money he would have made on that tour.
Dude.
He probably could have bought the rest of the rights back.
He probably could have bought Sony.
Yeah.
Not even the rights. He probably could have bought Sony.
He already had half the catalog.
He would have got tons of music. Well, it's so interesting to think about. So I didn't really know people like could own other people's music, like the rights to it. I thought it was just like, oh, record company has this music, cool, perfect, whatever. Until I was using, I think it was called Rhapsody back in the day. I think it's called Napster now. I can't remember what it is now, but I couldn't get any Prince music. There was no Prince music on this music app, and it had tons and tons and tons and tons of artists. It was so successful that you had to pay for it, obviously, pay for a subscription to access their music.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get any Prince because whoever owned all of Prince's music, whether it was Prince at the time or the record label or whoever, they didn't make it available to anybody else, and they kept it really close knit and stuff. So as unfortunate as that was, but you really don't think about ownership of other people's music.
Yeah. And then once you own that music and you release it to a platform like Rhapsody or whatever, you get like they buy the right to use it, but not only do they get paid, but you get paid the royalties from that too.
Right.
So,
well, see, that's the part that sucks because other people also don't think about is like the reason why a lot of singers they're so successful with record labels is because the record labels have all of the yes, exactly. Which that's where some of the fallout was. With him owning the Beatles collection, but oh gosh, dang it, where was I going with that? Yeah, so I can't remember exactly. It just ADHD squirrel. But
so let me just say, we've seen, we've talked about his death. We've talked about him possibly faking his death and people claiming Jackson's still alive. But what if he's still around, but not necessarily alive? What if he's still around?
Yeah.
There was another video that blew up.
Simply made the rounds. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. You guys might remember this video. It was from CNN's Larry King Live. They were touring Neverland Ranch. And
was it Neverland Ranch? I thought it was his home.
Yeah, his home at Neverland Ranch.
Okay, that's fair. That's a good point.
But what they captured is what people believe to be the ghost of Michael Jackson.
Dun, dun, dun.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Wrong video. Here we go.
The doors, and you can see the locks on the doors. Miko, privacy was key in this room, obviously.
Yeah, he liked his privacy. When the doors were open, it was okay, but when he locked, he wanted his privacy. He had his privacy.
This is one of the bathrooms. There are two bathrooms in this suite, and this is the area where Michael Jackson also slept sometimes. It was
okay, but when he locked, he wanted his privacy. He had his privacy.
This is one of the bathrooms. There are two bathrooms in this suite.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
What I like about that is it casts a shadow also on the
floor.
floor. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I always wondered, it's like, did CNN make that up, like make that clip? Did they digitize that and put that in there to gain like, you know, little edge up? But
Well, it was a viewer, I believe, that found that and posted it.
which strikes me as crazy that CNN didn't send them to like TMZ or something.
Right.
Like that's hard. How I'm sorry. If you're filming that as the person holding the camera, if you see that,
I don't think they saw it because the way they
really don't think they saw it.
The way they turned away from that, like
maybe he or maybe he or she, whoever it was,
probably looking
filming,
down, looking up, and
I was gonna say he was turning, so maybe like was trying to concentrate on his surroundings instead of what was through the lens. Maybe, but
because that's a long shot. It's down the hall, like you can't mess that up. So all you need is a peek around there, see the hall, then turn.
Yeah,
nothing major about that filming, but I very easily could the cameraman miss that. Happens all the time. Like Project Fear when you found the little shadow thing,
that little bitty clip in the doorway.
Yeah. So things sneak by.
They do.
So even the editors stuck by them.
I'm still surprised they didn't see that. I'm like, it was
maybe they did.
Pretty
they
noticeable.
Didn't want to say anything.
Didn't address it. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll play it again.
They wouldn't.
The ghost of Michael Jackson.
You're looking at the doors, and you can see the locks on the doors. Miko, privacy was key in this room, obviously.
Yeah, he liked his privacy. When the doors were open, you know, it was okay, but when he locked, he wanted his privacy. He had his privacy.
This is one of the bathrooms. There are 2 bathrooms in this suite, and this is the area where Michael Jackson also slept sometimes.
It was okay, but when he locked, he wanted his privacy. He had his privacy.
This is one of the bathrooms. There are 2 bathrooms in this suite.
Just so you know, you're muted when the video plays. So
yeah, I know.
That's how you talk into the mic.
I was talking right as it muted. But so Lori, the thing about your statement is the person having a shadow. If you see where the shadow is, you can tell it's coming from the other side of where the camera's at. If it was the guy's shadow, you would see more of a dominant shadow, even against the door.
What she's saying is, did he edit it to have that shadow in there?
The person that shared the edit, or did the person that shared that edit it to have it? Oh, okay, sorry, I read that completely wrong. I thought she said did the camera guy have a shadow?
Well, while it's possible, you can do that. You have to have a green screen to do that. But that shadow was also cast on the floor. So the only way
is really hard to do.
You would have to you can still do it. It takes a lot of work. Like these days you can't ever really know if something's completely edited. But this came out in 2008. So it's possible. But nobody made mention of this during the news broadcast, none of that. And then this just got, I think, shared out by a user.
Which is so crazy that nobody talked about it during the news broadcast. How do you not see that? They're probably like, oh, it was just somebody else. Or something else. It's still just
interesting.
Nuts.
Nonetheless, it's interesting. And honestly, if Michael Jackson were to come back as a ghost, I would suspect he'd go back to Neverland Ranch, where he could live out his childhood fantasies.
Yeah. Does anybody else own Neverland Ranch? I wonder.
I think somebody else does.
Nice.
Do spirits cast their own shadow? If they manifest into a certain density, I could imagine they could.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. See, what's impressive to me is the light on the far side of the hallway came from. It would look like it was like on that far end where that room was. The light source looked like it was coming from the left side of the room. So the fact that it bounced off the wall, it was bright enough to bounce off the wall and then cast a shadow, not only on the wall, but the brightness of it cast it on the floor too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and again, as far as that question goes, if you ever have a fire outside and you see the smoke get thicker, if you look at, you can sometimes see the shadow of that being cast on the ground.
That's very good point, yeah.
It's just a matter of density.
That is true. Some people think that, you know, to me, a shadow figure is is a shadow, and if you were to catch a reflection of that shadow or a casting of that shadow, wouldn't that just be confirmation of the shadow figure? You would think.
Well, people catch shadows on cameras and stuff, infrared lighting. You would think if it wasn't dense at all, that light would just pass right through a shadow.
Right.
But there's a lot of shadow figures that are captured that are completely solid.
Ron Burkle owns it as of 2020. He was a family friend. I wonder if the guy charges people to go in there. Like, hey, come see Michael Jackson's boy, or where he lived. You know what I mean?
Well, it was, Michael's family was saying that they should open it up and run it kind of like a Graceland. How it's
that'd be kind of cool.
A monument in itself of the artist.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I would go visit it just to go visit.
Too. Absolutely, and I'd probably try to ghost hunt it. Not gonna lie. But
take a recording.
Yeah,
Michael, are you?
Nonchalantly, yeah.
Michael, who killed you?
Mr. Jackson, ooh, I am for real. Exactly. I mean, obviously, this death has been. It's been cast in such conspiracy theory, like it's same as obviously Elvis. Like everybody talks about Elvis faking his death, always. Yeah. But I don't think I really come across as many theories of him being killed, like killed off, as compared to him faking his death. Now Bruce Lee, it's the same thing. Some people think, a huge amount of people think that he was just straight killed because a guy as healthy as he was being knocked out like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's hard to think about. It's like, how do you go after almost an invincible person, short of shooting them like they did with his son?
And people act like faking your own death has never happened.
Oh, it's definitely happened.
It's happened more than you think.
Program.
There's that too. Like there was a guy from Jersey, had a nice family and all that stuff. He didn't want to have any part of it anymore, and he just faked his own death and moved across country. The Black Dahlia.
Yeah.
Her father faked his own death, and he moved to LA or San Diego. And then he contacted them like almost 15 years later, trying to get back into their lives. I mean, it happens. It's not unheard of, guys.
Absolutely. And Lori says, I don't believe Elvis would fake his own death in a bathroom, though. And I was like, well, never know. Never know. Maybe you just thought about the most simple way, I guess. But thanks, Cassie. Much appreciated. This is something I've definitely been wanting to talk about for a long time. And I'm really glad we got to talk about it because I've speculated with friends over the years about it too. But this one, for sure, it hits deep for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad we talked about this show. I know we got some big things planned coming up. I'm not going to get into too much detail because I don't want to give anything away. Sorry.
Next week.
Yes, next week.
Next week, we're going to be talking a little bit about paranormal production.
Yes.
And then
I think into paranormal production, pretty much.
And then I think we can follow that up with another great show. We will have a guest on. Yes. We have a special guest coming on the week after. So, sure, Area 51 is doing.
I can believe it. Just like Bigfoot, it's part of the FBI.
Hold on, man in black, baby.
I don't know if you've seen it, but there's like more and more videos of Bigfoot stuff coming out. Have you witnessed any of that stuff lately?
Just a cartoon where Bigfoot took a big rip.
I don't want to. Yeah, I'm good.
It was like flying through the woods and stuff. It was hilarious. I was going to send it to you.
Yeah. Lori asks, are you ever going to do another review show?
Oh, me?
You're the one with the paranormal review, not me, my bud.
Yep. I probably should. But there's so much stuff going on right now. And plus being sick, it's not a very conducive.
Well, I mean, you are home all the time now. Just kidding. Not all the time.
I don't know. We'll see. See what the future holds.
Yeah.
There's some stuff that's going on that's going to be coming out later this year, you guys. You just don't know about it.
Yes.
I'll just say that.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I do just want to end it. I want to end my portion of it just saying, like, I hope everybody's ready for this year. I'm going to try to have a better personal growth year and just do more things that I love and experience more things that I want to truly experience. Because, we only got one life. Might as well enjoy it while we can. Don't get bogged down with a lot of stuff. Really figure out what things mean to you, like what truly means to you. And I know that was totally a mix-up of words there.
Bucket list, guys. It's the year to do your bucket list.
Make a good bucket list, please, because I see too many people getting caught up in daily life and not living for themselves. Like, yeah, we got to work, we got to do our things to get through this crazy world, but you need to do more things that you love.
Take the time for you.
Take the time. If the month off of Dave and I doing the Midwest Mystery Tours has taught me anything, is a hard reset to your life is such a great, it's such a great mental mindset. Like at the end, I felt so good. Like it felt like I was just not necessarily refreshed, but I had a more optimistic look. I was feeling better about life. Like everything just felt wonderful. So the more you can try to do that for yourself and in any way, do it. Please do it. Because I got one life. Might as well enjoy it while we can.
Mental health 2024.
Absolutely. But yes, and as Lori said, we need more investigations this year. Well, she says she needs it. I need it too. And last year was a big year for me with investigations, and I can't wait to see what this year has for the paranormal world and what I'm going to be doing in it. So I'm very excited.
2024 is going to be fire.
Absolutely. And
all right,
make
guys.
sure you're right here to see it with us.
Yes. Like I said, next week we're going to talk about production in the paranormal. And then week after that, we'll have a special guest following that up.
That's right.
And yeah, you guys be good. Thanks for stopping in. And we'll see you as the year goes. Take care.